When it comes to groundwork with our horses, it can be hard and sometimes confusing to know which equipment to use. So for example, here we have a Michelin bridle. You can use, or do you use a head collar, or do you use one of these like rope halters? So I'm just going to go through some of the pros and cons for you. Let's actually just start with a traditional head collar. I haven't got here one with me today, but most of us know what they are. So they're normally quite thick in terms of distributing pressure, which sounds great from a marketing perspective, but all these big fluffy pieces on the head collars can actually, think what it's doing, can actually distort the line of communication between you and your horse. So I'd actually prefer something leather with a fine area of distribution, something like this. The other extreme are these rope halters, which, again, clever marketing. They are very good in the right hands. Hi. But at the same time, they can cause a lot of pressure in the wrong hands because it's quite a thin area if you compare that to the size of that, or even the size of a head collar, right? So when it comes to your groundwork, if you're very experienced with groundwork and you know how to use these rope halters correctly, then go ahead and use them, not a problem. But just be very aware, just because it says natural horsemanship on it, doesn't necessarily mean that it's safe and effective for someone who doesn't know how to use this. And the same thing can go with the head collar, the same thing with the bridle. My favorite piece of in-hand equipment to use for myself, but I recommend this to a lot of my clients, is something like this. So this is a Michelin. It has an attachment point to put a bit on, but I like to do my groundwork with no bit in the mouth. And most importantly, I like to apply the pressure from here, from this nose piece. An alternative to a Michelin would just be a Cavesson bridle, which would have, again, no bit attachment, but it has almost like 3 rings over there. And again, you'd attach the rope, or you'd attach the lunge line onto there. Now let's just quickly go through why this is important. When we're working our horses from the ground, most of us, if we're working from a head collar or those rope halters, attach the pressure at the bottom of the chin here. So that means when you ask your horse to come towards you, you're basically moving the lower part of the mandible, the jaw, over and across, which if you look at my head, basically means I'd be doing this. Now, if my head's doing this to come inside to you, I'm falling out of my inside shoulder. I'm actually rotating and twisting my head to the outside. Now, that is not what we want from groundwork, right? When we apply pressure from the nose, whether that's with the Cavesson or with something like a Michelin, you're asking the horse to turn from the head first, and then when the head is in the direction they want to go, the neck will rotate, and then the body will follow the line of plane. And that's probably the most important piece of advice I can give to you if you're a bit confused about where to start with groundwork. It starts with me, with the equipment. Less pressure is better than all these fancy gadgets. And if you can teach yourself to work your horse from the nose as opposed to underneath here, you will notice a big difference in your horse's entire way of going.